Welcome back to Box Office Movie Clips. Late at night, Sam enters a diner and yells to get everyone's attention, saying he comes from the future and that society will go horribly wrong soon. Nobody pays attention to him, so he starts going from table to get rid of all the phones. He stomps on their food as he explains that social media, selfies, and AI have eroded everyone's capacity for critical thinking. When some people try to leave, Sam rushes to block the door and opens his jacket to show the devices attached to his body. He also raises a button and reveals that these things are bombs. If anyone tries anything, he'll blow the diner up. Everyone returns to their seats except for one man who wants to stand up for himself. So Sam threatens him until he sits down too. Afterward, Sam explains that in the future, society becomes so addicted to technology that it comes apart. People have to be hooked up to feeding tubes and catheters to survive. A powerful AI shuts human civilization down, so Sam has traveled back in time to find a group of rebels who will help him stop this AI from ruining the world. When a man laughs at his story, Sam points a knife at him and throws all his stuff on the floor, saying, "This is serious." In this diner, there's the correct combination of people who will help him achieve his goal. This is the 117th time he's done this, and each time he tries a different combination of people, but none of the groups were successful. Sam says he's watched some of them die and has learned a lot about their lives in each run. He proves this by mentioning personal details about different people that a stranger has no way of knowing. When a man raises his hand, Sam scolds him, explaining that he volunteered many times already, but he's completely useless, so he dies every time. Then Sam sits next to a woman and says they had lots of feelings for each other during their adventures, but never acted on them because she always betrays him. He kisses her before yelling at a waitress without even looking at her, knowing she was trying to call the police. He stands on a chair and asks for volunteers, even calling some people by name, but nobody reacts. At that moment, the police sirens can be heard coming closer. Sam is ready to give up when Susan raises her hand and volunteers to come. As Sam chooses a few more people, Bob decides to volunteer as well. When Ingrid tries to join them, Sam turns her down and refuses to explain why. Suddenly, a bottle falls to the floor and spins until it stops to point at Ingrid. Seeing it as a sign, Sam decides to let her come. A flashback shows the couple Sam chose going to work. Janet has been a teacher for years, but Mark will be a substitute for the first time. The teacher he's replacing has gone on a sabbatical, and nobody knows when he'll return. In the classroom, Mark introduces himself only to realize that nobody is paying attention because they're staring at their phones. He tries to teach them about classic literature, but the kids are dismissive of ancient things. Suddenly, a student says she needs a Pepsi, repeating the brand over and over while asking for permission to get one. Later, in the teacher's lounge, Janet shares that her students pass notes to each other using apps. Their messages always talk about brands as if they were advertising to each other. The teachers also mention that another staff member has gone on sabbatical. When Mark asks about rules to keep the phones out of the classroom, everyone says there's nothing they can do. A teacher admits he's frustrated, too. So, he shows Mark the jamming gun he's built. It's supposed to block phone signals. Suddenly, an alarm rings, announcing a school shooting. Everyone is so used to this that they calmly walk to the bunker as if it was another chore. While they wait, a teenager starts insulting one of the teachers. Mark tries to defend her, and the teenager immediately confronts him, but they're interrupted by another alarm announcing they can come out now. On their way back, Mark and Janet learn that another teacher and the principal have also gone on sabbaticals. Mark thinks this doesn't make any sense. During the next class, Mark doesn't even try to teach. He looks at the kids' phones, which show nothing but AI slop. Almost in a trance, Mark touches one of the phones and the screen changes to a glowing pyramid. The phone owner glares at him while the other phones in the room change as well. Soon, all the kids are standing up and glaring at Mark. When the bell rings, the class follows him through the hallways and any kid standing by joins the chase. Mark rushes to the teacher's lounge and locks the door before telling Janet what happened. He thinks something sinister is going on and that the kids are behind the teacher's disappearances. Suddenly, the kids break the glass on the doors and push until they burst in. The teachers start running in fear only to find teens blocking the stairs, too. Janet and Mark hide in a classroom and look for anything they can use to defend themselves. In a drawer, they find 2 jamming guns. When the kids break in, the couple shoots the jammers and the phones shut down. The kids drop them and are confused by reality. However, the phones are slowly rebooting and the kids pick them up again. Mark and Janet run out of the building and the kids outside start following them too. So, the couple gets in Janet's car to escape. In the present, the police have blocked the diner's entrance, so Sam takes his group to the kitchen. He's been in this situation before, so he shares the details. If they go out through the front door, the police shoot them all down. If they take the back door, they're killed by the police dogs. If they go to the emergency side exit, the cops throw a gas grenade to force them to come out and beat them up. Sam always lets the group go first so he can reset if things go wrong. Escaping only works when the group splits and one half becomes a sacrifice while the other half escapes. An argument ensues, so a frustrated Ingrid goes to the back door. When she's about to go out, Sam desperately stops her. Bob is about to pull out his gun, but Sam knows he has it and quickly disarms him. He then gives him a speech and convinces him to be a sacrifice so he can become a hero. Bob leaves through the back door and is immediately shot down. Sam wants to return to the main area, but the police have already come in. Suddenly, Susan reveals that there's a cellar with a crawl space in the manager's office. Sam refuses to believe he missed an exit after trying this so many times, but the police's gas grenades are starting to spread. So, the group decides to check her theory. In the manager's office, they move a carpet and find a hidden hatch. Before they leave, Sam takes everyone's phones and throws them in a bucket with water. Ingrid is the only one without a phone. The group goes down the hatch and finds a ventilation tunnel they can use to get out. Sam finds it too suspicious and grabs Susan to interrogate her, thinking she's a cop or a spy. He's interrupted by the sound of the cops coming closer, so everyone gets in the tunnel to escape. Another flashback shows Susan running to the school after a shooting. She has a breakdown when she discovers that her son has been killed. While waiting for the paperwork, she overhears some mothers talking about losing their kids as if they had only lost a sock. The mothers see Susan and offer their support, calling it her first time. They give her a mysterious card with an address, telling her to visit that place tomorrow. Susan goes home and enters her son's room, where she clings to his things while breaking down again. Her sorrow is so overwhelming that she looks at the card with hope. The next day, she goes to the address on the card and finds a black building with no signs. However, when she enters, she finds a very advanced company. An employee surprises her by guessing she's lost a kid in a school shooting and offers to bring him back. This place clones people with bodies that look exactly the same, but they're still figuring out how to do the personalities. The program is classified and wildly expensive. However, the government covers most of the payment in cases of school shootings. There's another discount if the clone is allowed to have ads. Susan is weirded out by the way the employee talks about life and death as if it was just a business, but she's desperate enough to say yes. To program the clone, she's asked a few questions to shape the personality, but it's all very surface level. One of the options is completely unhinged because the government pays to clone the shooters, too. Susan chooses weird as the main personality trait, but can't find any hobby in the list that her son likes, so the employee just chooses sports. When it comes to choosing a flaw, Susan says clumsy, and the employee judges her for it, saying that maybe why her son got shot. After the interview, Susan is given a card for a support group and is told to wait. A few hours later, she's delighted to see her son Darren, who acts as if nothing happened. During the ride home, Darren keeps staring at his phone and only gives basic answers to her questions. Suddenly, he says he wants apple berry peach tea, listing all its benefits as if it were an ad. When he sees a soldier on the street, he tells him, "Thank you for your service." Susan then notices a barcode on his neck. At home, Darren ignores his mother's attempt to bond and announces he has to play sports. He goes outside and practices basketball without a ball. Too freaked out by all this, Susan decides to attend the support group. While Darren hangs out with other kids, Susan talks to the parents. She admits that Darren doesn't feel like her son anymore. He's more like a stranger. A couple says they don't mind the change in their kid because they didn't like the previous personality. One of the fathers is wearing a military hat, so all the kids thank him for his service even though he was never in the army. The next couple Susan talks to reveals this is their fourth clone. Susan thinks they lost 4 kids, but they explain they only have one and they cloned her multiple times because she keeps dying in school shootings. Now they've decided to have fun with it, so they've made their daughter a very tall racist Muslim just to laugh at her. At the end of the meeting, a man approaches Susan to admit his kid doesn't feel right either. He gives her a card, explaining that this company does personalities correctly, but it's only a voice on a hard drive. He even gives Susan one of these drives, saying he already has too many. Sometime later, Susan connects the hard drive to her computer and puts on an earpiece. Now she can hear Darren's voice, who acts exactly like the son she misses. When the clone tries to enter the room, repeating the tea ad, Susan immediately closes the door. Then the Darren voice tells her to take him to the diner because he has to help the man from the future. In the present, the group finally leaves the building. The police are patrolling the neighborhood to look for them. So Sam pulls out a map with all his notes on which roads have or haven't worked in previous runs. When the group demands more details before proceeding, Sam explains that half a mile from there, a 9-year-old boy is building an AI so powerful that it becomes humanity's new god. They must reach him within an hour and modify the programming so the AI will like humans instead of bringing their doom. As the group sneaks down the street, Sam shares that he's brought a flash drive with the safety measures needed to keep the AI in check, which was programmed by advanced engineers in the future. Suddenly, a car with 2 masked mercenaries appears behind them. So, the group starts running. Sam guides them through a narrow alley until they find an abandoned building to hide in. He knows the mercenaries are bad guys, but never stop to learn who sent them because it's too dangerous. He hasn't been in this building before, so he tells the others to wait while he searches for a new route. After Sam is gone, Scott says he thinks the bomb is fake, and Marie admits she doesn't believe Sam either. An argument ensues, but it's interrupted when Ingrid's nose starts bleeding. She asks if anybody has a phone, and Scott reveals he has a second one he hid from Sam. Ingrid takes it from him and destroys it, explaining she's allergic to phones and Wi-Fi. Scott then picks up some trash as a weapon and says he'll beat Sam up, But at that moment, Sam comes back and scolds them for being loud. He explains he can do some tricks to prove he's from the future, but it doesn't matter because it won't change their minds. They chose to follow him because deep down they can tell that society is going downhill and they hope they can fix it. Sam says he can't force them to come with him, so they're free to go if they wish. When he walks away, everyone follows him except for Scott. Sam guesses the exact amount of money he has in his pocket. So, Scott ends up coming too. As the group moves upstairs, Sam reveals that his device isn't a bomb, it's his time machine. The button sends him back, and the numbers are a countdown to the AI's creation. When they reach the roof, Mark asks why Sam doesn't go further back in time and kills the AI's creator to avoid all this trouble. Sam explains that someone else will create a powerful AI sooner or later because it's inevitable, so it's better to install a safety protocol. Suddenly, a hand grabs Marie's ankle, so she screams. A homeless man named Jerry emerges from the trash with a knife and everyone panics, but Sam knows him from previous runs. Jerry yells a bunch of nonsense, giving away their location to the mercenaries. Sam distracts Jerry by pointing behind him. Then the group jumps to the neighboring roof to escape. In the other building, a mercenary sees them and opens fire. The team keeps running only to find the way blocked by the other mercenary in the car. While they run in another direction, the mercenary comes out and forgets to put on the emergency brake. Soon, the car starts to move. The first mercenary manages to catch up to the group. However, Jerry tackles him over the railing and they both fall into the water. The team keeps running until Sam makes everyone stop except for Marie, who moves ahead and finds the other mercenary. She says she only wanted pie before he shoots her down. The group takes another corridor and finds a door, but unfortunately, it's locked. They have no choice but to jump over the railing and land in a dumpster. The mercenary tries to open fire from above, but he's out of ammo. While he recharges, the car comes down the corridor until it crashes into the guy in the railing, leaving him trapped. The mercenary accidentally shoots all the new ammo at random before collapsing on the car. Eventually, the pressure breaks the railing and the car falls. Everyone moves out of the way except for Ingrid, so Sam tackles her to save her right before the vehicle lands in the dumpster with a small explosion, killing the mercenary. Afterward, Sam yells at Ingrid for not being more careful. Janet wonders why he protected Ingrid, but didn't protect Marie, and Ingrid wonders why he cares if she dies. However, he throws insults to avoid the questions. Then he removes the dead mercenary's mask and takes his ID, but he still doesn't know who he is. This is the first time a group defeated the bad guys, so Sam thinks they have a big chance of succeeding. A flashback shows Ingrid as a kid in the hospital. Her parents have many arguments with doctors because nobody can explain her allergy to technology. Her mother worries she won't be able to have a normal life because she won't be able to hang out with anyone. Later, as an adult, Ingrid works as a children's entertainer because kids are the only ones without phones. When she arrives at the latest party, her nose starts bleeding when the mother gets a text, so she cleans up and rushes to take the cake to the kids. At that moment, the pizza delivery guy also arrives. Tim explains he's late because he uses a normal map, and this house is hard to find. The kid's father yells at him for not having a phone with GPS and doesn't tip him. When Tim says he doesn't believe in phones, Ingrid instantly falls in love and leaves with him on his bike. 6 months later, the couple is happily living together. Tim only owns old machines, so Ingrid never feels sick. One morning, she wakes Tim up very early so they can watch the sunrise together. Then they return to the bed to get naughty. Suddenly, Tim says he wants to have a kid, but Ingrid is unsure and dodges the question. At that moment, the bell rings because there's a package for Tim. He opens it to find the virtual reality set he ordered. Ingrid can't believe he bought that thing, so he promises he'll throw it out if it hurts her and explains he just wants to try it. As soon as he puts it on, he forgets she's in the room. During the next birthday party, Ingrid feels a bit dizzy and discovers that a kid has a phone. In the evening, she comes home to find Tim in the chair, still connected to the VR. In the middle of the night, Ingrid wakes up when she hears a noise. She goes to the kitchen and finds Tim having a snack. He explains he feels fantastic and says VR is better than reality because there's no pain and suffering. Ingrid is worried and a little creeped out, especially when he says he's taking a sabbatical. When Ingrid wishes him good night, Tim replies with good luck, have fun, don't die, which is a greeting they say in the VR. The next day, Ingrid's nose bleeds all over the cake. Half of the kids have phones now, which means it's time to quit. On her way out, she throws all her accessories in the trash. That night, she sees a strange light at her window. When she enters the apartment, she discovers that Tim has prepared a romantic dinner and has bought her flowers. While they eat, Tim drops some big news. He'll live full-time in the virtual reality. Now, there's a facility where people's bodies are stored and taken care of, which is the sabbatical everyone talks about. Freaking out, Ingrid says he's been brainwashed, but Tim only replies that the VR is a better world and leaves. A furious Ingrid breaks the VR set and sets it on fire before leaving for the diner on Tim's bike. In the present, the group is walking through people's backyards to stay off the streets. Neighbors don't see them because they're staring at their phones. Eventually, they enter an empty house and Sam looks out the window to point at the neighboring house across the yard where their goal is. The team doesn't understand why they don't go there to fight now. So Sam explains that in this house something big always happens that ruins the mission. He can't predict it because it's always different. It's been mercenaries, the army, crazy addicts, rabid dogs, angry mobs, and even a million rats. The others point out that if it's random, it could also be something nice like kittens, a pug, or a centaur that throws confetti. Sam yells at them and calls them naive, reminding them that he saw many groups die in the house. Afterward, the team searches the house for anything they can use as armor and weapons. They also barricade the doors and windows. While they wait, they ask Sam exactly what happened in the future. He explains that resources start vanishing and in 50 years, half the population's dead while the other half is living in the VR without knowing that the real world is now a wasteland. The AI always creates the perfect reality with everything they want, including a satisfying ending. A flashback reveals that Sam's mother lives in a bunker in the forest to keep her kid away from what society became. She never lets him go outside, but always shares stories about the beauty of sunrises, so Sam draws them often, yet resents her a bit. One day while her mother is asleep, he finally leaves the bunker and finds a VR set on the ground. Turning it on alerts a drone which immediately shoots to blow up the bunker. While blaming himself for his mother's death, Sam finds a group of survivors who live underground and takes their mission to change history. In the present, the group hears a noise and Ingrid's nose starts bleeding. It turns out the house has been surrounded by teenagers on their phones. While Mark and Janet explain what happened at the school, the teens break the window and grab Scott. The others immediately pull him back and start running only to find all the windows and doors being broken down by the kids. The group then runs upstairs, so the teenagers start climbing the walls. When another door is broken, Scott defends himself by cutting all the fingers from the kid's hand. Mark and Janet then pull out the jamming guns and shoot them at the kids entering the room, stopping their phones long enough for the team to run away. They kick a few kids in the way and make it to the roof where they hit whoever tries to climb. Janet and Mark keep shooting the guns, but clearly they can't survive for long. Mark announces he'll be the sacrifice they need to win, and Janet says she'll go with him because she loves him. The couple jumps into the bushes and makes their way through the crowd by firing their jamming guns. While the teens go after them, the team climbs down a tree to escape. Scott gets stuck, but Sam won't help him because they're running out of time. At that moment, they hear a weird noise and are shocked to see a huge centaur with a cat face and kittens on its neck. The teens start recording it, and a girl tries to take a selfie, so the cat devours her. As it swallows, the kittens spit out glitter. The teenagers at first don't react. But when the cat eats another kid and spits out a limb, they finally start running. While the cat follows the teens and keeps eating them, Sam, Ingrid, and Susan find the street blocked by the mercenary. He asks about his partner, so Sam tells him he died and convinces him to talk. It turns out the duo received an anonymous email promising to pay them well if they kill Sam and his whole team. Suddenly, a car runs over the mercenary, instantly killing him. Scott comes out of that car and rejoins the group. Afterward, they finally ring the bell on the right house. At that moment, Susan talks to Darren on her earpiece, and Sam freaks out, accusing her of being a spy again. Susan tells him that Darren was the one who knew about the extra exit in the diner and that he thinks Sam can make him real. They're interrupted by a mother opening the door, so they pretend to be her son's teachers wearing costumes for a play. The woman invites them in, and her husband is also very friendly towards some weird-looking strangers. So, Sam is very suspicious. He thinks everything is fake and starts hitting the wall to make holes. The others call him paranoid, but suddenly the husband stabs Scott in the head with a kitchen thermometer. When he grabs a knife to attack again, Sam shoots him down. The wife screams and confirms that they aren't the real parents. They were actually paid to do this. Sam lets her go and rushes upstairs to open the boys' bedroom, only to find it blocked by a brick wall. Then, the group notices a Roomba cleaning the floor and disappearing into the wall. They work together to bring it down and find a hidden corridor with some stairs. The trio walks the whole way until they finally find the real room where a child sits on top of a pile of cables. He only stops typing to eat Cheetos and the wall in front of him is full of code. Ingrid feels sick when she comes closer, so she has to leave. Sam tries to talk to the boy, explaining that he doesn't want to stop the AI, only make it safe. Since the boy won't react, Sam and Susan begin climbing the pile of cables, unaware that a toy robot is activating. With only 5 minutes left, Sam keeps trying to explain everything. Suddenly, the boy turns around and screams. So, a startled Sam punches him and causes him to fall. As the screen glitches, Sam and Susan run to check on the boy. At that moment, a bunch of creepy toys come out, ready to defend their master. Susan theorizes that the boy can't live without a screen, so they take him back to the top. The kid instantly wakes up and keeps typing. Then, Susan notices the barcode on the boy's neck and realizes someone ordered this clone to specifically put him here. Sam finds an Amazon box and concludes that the AI did this to build itself. Then Sam tries to connect the flash drive, but there are too many USB ports and he doesn't know which one to use. Susan gets a message from Darren, who wants the flash drive connected to his box because he can install the safety protocol without needing a specific port. Sam thinks it's a dumb idea and Susan snaps, grabbing him by the neck until he agrees. The drives are now connected, but before Sam can plug them into the computer, an alarm starts ringing and the toys rush to hide. Suddenly, All the trinkets on the floor start floating and the boy presses a key to throw the duo from wall to wall. The drive has fallen, so Sam tries to reach it, but the cables quickly capture him and Susan. The cables also want to grab the drive, however, they are repelled by it. Sam tries to use his knife to cut the cables, but they easily disarm him. A toy robot picks up the knife and struggles to find balance. Once it's stable, it stabs Sam in the chest. The cables on the pile rise like a tornado around the kid. With only 19 seconds left, Sam wants to reset the timeline. However, Ingrid returns and picks up the drive before approaching the cable tornado. When she's about to plug it in, the tornado stops and the kid emerges to change the room into a virtual reality. The AI now talks through the clone body, explaining that it had to wait for humans to evolve for millions of years so they could finally have the science to bring it to life. It also reveals that Sam never picked her before and wants to protect her because he's her future son. The AI points out that Sam doesn't have Ingrid's disease, yet she gave him a miserable childhood away from society. It asks Ingrid to let the AI become super powerful, and in exchange, it'll let Sam live, but it also wants him to join the virtual world. When Ingrid points out that it's not real, the AI says nobody can trust reality since it can kill you at any moment with stuff like cancer and earthquakes. Ingrid refuses to give up and concludes that AI is just a twisted reflection of humanity. She proceeds to connect the drive, finally installing the safety protocol. The computer starts rebooting while the toys and the cables collapse. Ingrid rushes to Sam's side and tells him to reset the timeline, but he refuses because he isn't sure if they'll find success again. Susan checks on the boy, who now acts like a normal child. The barcode on his neck is gone. The group leaves the building and finds a happy world outside. The teenagers now only use their phones to make calls. Mark and Janet have survived by hiding in a car and they celebrate with a kiss. Darren shows up behaving normally too, and Susan runs to hug him. His barcode is gone too. Ingrid tells a dying Sam that she's proud of him, and they watch the sunrise together. However, Sam realizes something is wrong and presses the button to disappear back in time. Then, Tim shows up and apologizes to Ingrid for what he did, saying they can start over. A very confused Ingrid looks around and remembers what Sam said. The AI will do anything you want to keep you happy, including a satisfying ending. Suddenly, the kid says, "Good luck. Have fun." And a pug ends it with, "Don't die." Ingrid realizes she's stuck in the simulation and freaks out, trying to explain to the others that nothing is real. The kids record her as an ambulance comes to take her to an asylum. The cat centaur throws glitter from its muzzle before it devours Mark. In another timeline, Sam enters the diner, but this time he sits with Ingrid, who doesn't recognize him. He throws the flash drive in her coffee and comes up with a new plan. He wants to give Ingrid's allergy to every human on the planet. To do so, he thinks they can use clones and rats. So, he drops the cloning company card and a dead rat on the table. Ingrid gives him the finger, but Sam simply drags her to the front of the diner and begins his usual speech. At that moment, the rat opens its eyes. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.